Welcome, everyone. Welcome to our community session this week. Isaac, good to see you. I feel like it's been a while. How are you doing?
Pretty great, thanks. Good to be here. It's been a while, but I have been catching up on all the recordings.
Hey,
But
nice.
we're good. Good to be here.
What What's your favorite session so far, Isaac, from all the recordings and everything?
Oh wow, that's a good question. Favorite? I'll have to get back to you on that.
Sure.
They're all good.
Nice. And how's business going?
We cannot complain actually. I think we are gaining momentum. We are working on really our packaging and pricing now, as we have been testing different combinations of what we offer. So I think finding that sweet spot with what people really need, and I think the consultative approach of doing enough of a diagnosis to be able to give a really appropriate prescription is what
Hmm.
resonates, instead of trying to just push a product to someone and tell them you need this, and they don't really understand it, and they also don't believe you took the time to understand what their real pain points were and to be able to match that pain point. So I use the analogy of being a doctor. So the snapshot report is fantastic for taking the vitals and the testings, but if you don't ask the questions to understand, okay, where is the pain, where's the problem, and then be able to be flexible with the prescription. So some people don't want to take pills, some people prefer taking an injection once a month. So which one do you go with? You have to come to that spot. And I really love the platform's addition of like Search Console and these elements, because it really makes it tangible to be able to explain and show that proof. I think being able to explain the executive report and just resonate around that and show the improvements is really really critical. And we have been kind of pairing that with a lot of training, because what we have realized, a lot of our clients don't understand.
Yeah.
So we have found that the more we educate our clients, you really build a longer term relationship with them, and it really makes it even more sticky. So yeah.
Nice. That's awesome. Um, I feel like, a lot of that you could also relate to having different type of content on, to share relative to how warm your prospects are to wanting to engage or wanting to just jump right into a package. Some people are going to need a little bit of time to warm up and learn more, be educated. A lot of people like to self-educate now, and then whenever they're ready, it sounds like you'll have those meetings and then get right into it. Isaac, would you mind talking a little bit about, so you use the snapshot report and you talk to the executive report.
Mhm.
Do you have any tips or tricks for the community about how you kind of transition there? I've talked to a few partners who kind of get stuck on the snapshot report, and they'll run a snapshot report, and then the client will be like, rerun that report and show me how I've improved. But we know that the snapshot report is, it's, if you've taken the snapshot course in the academy, it's built on fear of loss, right? It's kind of great. It's purposefully graded hard so that you can have those crucial conversations. But do you have any tips, or how do you transition from snapshot report to executive report?
So for us, well, firstly, before we even get into the snapshot report, um, we we really try to program ourselves that we are doctors. We are digital marketing doctors. So before
Yeah.
we even take a blood test and do any kind of testing for us, which is what the snapshot report represents, pure data, we really want to have the conversation to understand the pain point first, understand what they're
Mm-hmm.
trying to achieve first. And once we have that complete overview, then we bring the snapshot into play and kind of show them, okay, so after all that you have said, this is what the true numbers, this is what the market is saying about you, because most people we have found don't have a connection to the reality of their brand online. They either exaggerate their presence, they overestimate how strong they may be, and in some cases they may even underestimate, certain things that they may have going well for them. Once we get over the hurdle of bringing clarity to how the snapshot report, brings now a benchmark or a baseline for us to begin to build. We constantly tell clients that that business app and the executive report is that real time pulse of your business. and that monthly overview. So we have begun to kind of have that narrative about that monthly consultation, that conversation. And instead of telling someone, go check it, kind of walking through, step by step what it means. And more than that, with the evolution of digital marketing, it is about being able to bring out what's trending and what's happening with this executive report, so, and that continuing of the educating and having that conversation really resonates to how can I get more? How can I do more? So we have had a situation where we just went through from a website perspective, and the client is like, so how do I get more? And I'm like, well, we can talk about ads. And, the upselling just takes place automatically without even trying to sell. The client ends up buying, pulling it off the shelf, so yeah.
Oh man, that is incredible. That's awesome to hear. There's a lot of products and services that pull data into the executive report, and I know that that's been a winning strategy for a lot of partners. Using that and products and everything that pulls in that data, so you can make better informed decisions, data informed decisions. I really like how your clients naturally are just asking for, hey, how can we do more? Do you have a
Correct.
secret to that? Like, how do you just get them to ask that question?
I think it's the uniqueness of the approach. And I mean, I think for us, we have a 15-member team, and some would know that we do a lot of our own web dev and stuff like that. But
yeah,
it is really that passion for, call it, one, operational excellence, and two, being passionate about the customer success. One of the challenges we have observed is that a lot of agencies really try to push the product. You need four posts per month, or you need this, and that's not what the client needs. The client will, based on the problem or the pain or the industry or whatever it is, you need to work backwards, and incidentally, there's this new book that came out that you might want to check out on working backwards from the guys at Amazon. And that mindset of working backwards from where the client wants to be and what do they need to get there. So it may not be a 10-page website. It may just be one page with retargeting set up accurately, tied to other things to really achieve what their goal is. And once they see that goal and they trust you, and that they trust you to have their best interests, forget it. Whatever you tell them to get, they will get, because that relationship has built. I mean, we have had clients for in excess of 4 years, going on 5 years. And those type of longer term relationships only come from the client having that level of trust, so.
That's awesome. Well, hey, thanks for sharing that with the community,
No
Isaac. And it's
problem at
great
all.
to see you. It's great to hear from you too. Thank
Good
you.
to be here. Thank you. Sure.
I want to give a little shout out too and say hey to Amy Delarty. How are you doing? It's been a while. What's going on in your world?
Too funny. I was not expecting that. Thank you. Yeah, just busy. I needed to take a break from learning and actually do some application. So I'm just back and hungry for more. So thanks for noticing.
Yeah, totally. Hey, I saw your comment in the chat too. I'm wondering if you might be open to elaborating on that. What you said was, I find that my clients ask that when they see successes with what we're doing, it's a natural progression.
Yeah, so you had asked, I think it was Isaac, the question of like, how do you have that conversation, that upsell, if you will? And for me, I find that my most successful clients are the ones that they approach me. Like last year, we were able to double our sales for an e-commerce client of ours. So, and they came back and said, they've been a client for a while, and they were like, whatever you're doing, we love it. Can we spend more money with you? What else can we do? So I just think that when you have successes, it's kind of like a drug for them, right? They want more and more and more. So my goal is to just be successful, and then the rest will come naturally.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Do you talk or like, do you provide like a peek around the corner? Like, are you constantly talking about what might be next?
I do. Yeah. So a lot of my clients, because of the name of my business is Infinite Web Designs, a lot of people come to me for web design first, and then they realize we do more than just web design. And so when I'm dealing with a web design client or somebody that, you know, is kind of, we're prospecting, I tell them, hey, you know, for later discussions, but just know that we're a one-stop shop. So you can get additional marketing services once we, you know, get this squared away. And then I use the analogy that our approach is crawl, walk, run, thrive. And so, you know, right now we might be in the crawling or walking stage of getting your website in shape, but let's not forget to have that conversation once that website is launched on how we can run and thrive.
Nice. I
Yeah.
like that. Always talking about what could be next, and showing them and say, hey, you know, there's foundational items that we should get in place here. So we're going to crawl, we're going to make sure we get those right so that we can accelerate whenever you're ready.
Yeah.
Right on. Well, it's great to see you. Thanks for saying hi and sharing some of those comments with the community.
Good to be here again. Thanks.
Awesome. Well, it's great to see a lot of familiar faces and some new folks as well. We do these sessions every Friday. So if you're joining for the first time, or if you're catching this on the replay, you know, you can register for these sessions in the community and join us every Friday, or just catch the recordings in the community as well. I'm gonna walk through a couple of things before we get started. Today's gonna be a really fun day. I heard a couple of people, you know, Isaac saying sometimes it's just adding one web page, you know, that can make a big improvement, or that could be the next step. Also heard Amy say, you know, I've been learning so much, now I want to apply things. So we have a fun activity after our presenters go through what they want to speak about today. But I just wanted to make sure that this Head Start 2021 isn't out of sight or out of mind for everybody here. So we have a lot of fantastic vendors who are on board with this. Big thank you to our vendors and our marketplace teams for putting this together. But just wanted to reiterate, you know, it's really important that we're helping our clients and our local businesses be heard. Number one, how are they communicating with their prospects, with their clients? You know, email, text message. You need to be communicating now more than ever, even if it's just saying, hey, we're open. Hey, we're open. You know, you don't want that doubt in their mind of, is this place open or not? Because there's a lot of that going on right now. And then being seen, you know, if somebody then searches for them, make sure that they get found. If you're making that investment to be heard, make sure you get seen online. And then transact now. So we know that the habits that are being formed now, they're going to be around for quite a while with consumers. So it's not just that online transactions and websites, e-commerce has shot up just for now. I think that that's a habit that consumers are building, and it's going to be around for a longer period of time. So helping your clients and local businesses be ready to transact whenever their clients are ready, and online is really important as well. So a lot of great prizes to be won here, or to be earned. Boostability is giving away a ton of swag. ZenReach 4 free nights at Coral Gardens Hotel looks amazing, especially with the winter weather that we're getting here, and you know, even south in the States. I hope everyone's doing well. Got a couple of gift cards, and so we have some really great vendors who are participating. And if you have any questions, you can click right in here. It'll take you into your marketplace card. But you can also join the group. I would encourage you to join the group and chat directly with the vendors. Check out some questions that other partners have asked. I'll show you how you can get there. So if you're in the community here, you can click on groups. It's the option at the top. And then you'll see, which one here? Head Start right here. So you can join the group. Let's jump into it. And then you'll see specific threads with, if we go into discussions, you'll see specific threads with the vendors. So jump in there and see what everybody's talking about, ask questions, and the vendors will be, you know, that they're available, they want to help, and so reach out and chat on that. One last thing, we do record each one of these sessions, and then we post the recording in the community afterwards. So you can find those. The way that I get there is I click on community sessions here. They're kind of hidden, so I want to make sure that everybody's aware of how to get there. community sessions. Here's the one where you can find the registration link if you want to just click in there. But we have many pages of sessions that we've done. We're coming up almost a year now on these community sessions, and you can just click right into one. Let's see, GMB optimization. This was a great one, actually. We had Josh from Google My Business join us and talk about some of the Google My Business optimizations that that he would recommend. So we actually have a presentation here from Google, so you can check out the recording there.
Hey, Andrew, we're actually going to be updating the format, so you guys are going to be able to access the community sessions even easier now. So hopefully
awesome.
By the end of our next sprint, which would be the end of the month. So
perfect. Thanks, Colleen, for that. All right. Well, with that, my name's Andrew Carson, growth team lead over here. I really enjoy working with partners every day to help you guys be successful. All of our teams, truly, that's what we want to do. Part of starting these sessions was so that we can all get together and we can create a positive space for us to, talk about what's going on in the marketplace, have a little bit of a presentation, and then a discussion. So we don't want this to just be a webinar. Ask your questions in the chat, and we encourage you to get in touch with other partners who you identify with. What's really important is getting together with like-minded business owners, helping each other be successful. A lot of partners connecting, partner groups, and supporting each other in opportunities. So I'm going to leave it at that, and I want to introduce our presenters for today. A lot of juicy stuff happening today that we're going to talk about. So Trent and Brock, this isn't your first time, but maybe kick it off with an intro and you can get right into your presentation.
Let me make sure. Am I muted? No, am I all good?
Yeah, I can hear you, Trent.
Perfect. Well, me and Brock are back for our second time here. I'll just do a quick introduction. So my name's Trent. I'm the head of PPC. For those of you that don't know me, I handle all things Google ads, Facebook ads, LinkedIn, YouTube, and joining me is Brock. He's our content marketing strategist. He handles everything from content creation to high-level strategy for the demand generation team. So flying back up here, the topic that we want to talk to you guys about today is conversion rate optimization. Some of you may already know about this. Some of you may know and haven't implemented any strategies. So I want to give you guys a quick overview as to what conversion rate optimization is, show you some examples of how we're using it and how you can start mimicking our examples and utilizing them for your business. And then a couple of quick takeaways and tactics on how you can implement them to be successful, run successful tests in your company. Conversion rate optimization is near and dear to my heart as a marketer, because as a marketer, all we kind of make are assumptions, and then your assumptions are validated based on a scientific method of testing, which is what conversion rate optimization is all about. So what is conversion rate optimization? So conversion rate optimization is the practice of designing a web interface so that it influences as many people as possible to take an intended action. When we say designing a web interface, that can be your website, could even be your LinkedIn profile, Facebook profile. Maybe if you're running social ads, it can be your advertisements. And so the goal of those advertisements in your websites are obviously to influence people to take an action on your website, and that website or that action, which a lot of in our case, and I imagine a lot of your cases, is to submit information, get prospects to submit their information so that you can start a conversation with the prospect and begin showing them how our solutions and services can help solve their problem. So why is conversion rate optimization important? Why are we talking about it? So the instant gratification society has changed the game, right? People have way shorter attention spans than they used to, and they make snap decisions on whether to move forward with what they've clicked on. How many times have you been scrolling Facebook and you look at an ad for a millisecond, and if it doesn't immediately catch your eye, you're gone, right? Happens all the time. Same thing happens with landing pages. People come to your ad from an organic search or come to your landing page from an organic search. If they don't initially see what they're looking for or something that catches their eye, they're going to bounce. So conversion rate optimization is needed to iterate and improve and ensure high performance on your websites. It's one of the most powerful marketing strategies on the planet to increase business results. It allows a company to build lasting competitive advantage and outperform the industry. It improves the return on investment of your marketing spend, which as a marketer, that's one of our biggest goals, obviously. And it's really the only scientific method to improving financial outcomes as a marketer. As a marketer, like I touched on, we tend to make a lot of assumptions, but by utilizing conversion rate optimization, we start to test those assumptions and actually turn them into validated learning that'll fuel smarter decisions, decision making for your business. So here's what the conversion optimization process looks like. Don't worry too much about taking notes on this if you guys were going to. We have a couple slides later down that outline these steps that you guys can take home with you so that you can start implementing some of these strategies. But it starts with defining the problem. And this is where you want to identify inefficiencies with your current workflow. Maybe you see a large bounce rate on your homepage. Maybe your conversion rate has been dipping. Maybe your click-through rate on advertisements dropping. So those problems are going to be the basis for these conversion rate optimization tests. So once you've identified the problem, say you see a dip in conversions, you want to try to obviously increase your conversions. So then you move on to setting the objectives and the key results. So this is important because if you don't set a goal or a target, then you're never going to know if the test was a success or not, right? So setting those initial OKRs, those objectives and key results, are going to be what you're using to measure success or failure. So some types of goals you can set may be reducing your homepage bounce rate, or even just as simple as getting 10 more leads this month or increasing conversions by 10%. Doesn't have to be too complex. The simpler, the better. And so after you set your OKRs, you're going to want to hypothesize an improvement and change. So this is where you want to set your initial assumptions of what you believe might happen. So for example, if you're changing your landing page call to action from book a demo now, and you're going to change it to maybe see how it works or learn more, your initial assumption can be that I believe that learn more is going to improve my click-through rate or conversions by X% because of it's a less demanding statement than the try for free or book a demo now. And so those hypotheses are going to be really important when you finish the test and you can reflect on the learnings, because it's going to make you smarter as a marketer, smarter as a business owner, and you're going to be able to just deploy a smarter and more accurate hypothesis in the future. So then after you've set your hypothesis, you set your OKRs, you're going to create the variations. This is where you're creating your test. These different variations can be and should be very minor changes. You don't want to create a brand new landing page with all new content and a bunch of different changes, because at the end of the test, you want to be able to isolate one success factor that led to either an increase or a decrease in conversions. But if you change the call to action, maybe you change the hero image and all this other text, you're not going to be able to isolate that factor that led you to these results. So creating a variation with a very minor change can even just be a call to action change, maybe even the color of your button. That's going to be able to give you the best results moving forward and just let you iterate on those success factors. And then, so after you've created your variation, it doesn't have to be complex, like I said, then you're going to run the experiment. And so this is where you want to set a time period that you want to run this experiment for. And the time period is based off of how many sessions, or it's based off of how much data you can acquire in a certain time. You want to make sure that you set the time period long enough that you have a significant size of data. Because if you set it for a week and maybe you only have 20 sessions to your website and they're viewing both those changes, it's not going to be a significant size in order to make a really validated decision. So I like to, and I have this in the slides later on, but I like to set a rule of thumb is about 500 to 1,000 unique visitors for a test before you can really prove the data. And then, after you've got the experiment run, now say your time period's up, it's been a month, 2 months later, you're going to analyze and measure the results. So all you're going to do is check the results, whatever your objectives and key results are. So if that's your conversion rate, you're going to compare your conversion rate from the initial test versus the conversion rate to the secondary test, and you're going to see which one's better. Once you've identified kind of your champion, the better performer, you're going to want to make another test on top of that one, just iterating off of that successful landing page or call to action, whatever it may be, and then just restart the process all again. Because after a while, you just start to compound, you get compounded success once you keep adding on to all of these reasons why your conversion rate or whatever it may be is increasing. So here's some a couple scenarios about how conversion rate optimization can really impact your results. Before I dive into here, I want to bring your attention to this close rate and the average close. So the close rate I got here of 18% consistent across all three scenarios is just an industry average close rate that I found just online. And then the average close rate or the average close could just be is about, if you guys were offering maybe a $420 monthly package, that's what you could at the end of the year you could kind of expect that you're getting $5,000 of value for them in a year, right? So you see in scenario 1, 1,000 visitors came in, your conversion rate's 3%, you get 30 leads from it. And what that comes out to after the close rate and your average close is $27,000 of ARR. You jump to scenario 2, visitor stays the same, but all you've done is increase your conversion rate. You put a little bit of effort into testing conversion rate, testing different messages, and you've got your conversion rate to 4% from 3. You can see now you've generated 40 leads instead of 30, and close rate, average close rate staying the same. You now have an ARR of $36,000, just with a little bit of effort of testing a couple of new messages or call to actions. Scenario 3, now you've moved your conversion rate from 3% to 5. And now you can see that the annual recurring revenue from that 2% increase of conversion rate has jumped up to $45,000. So at the end of it, you get a 2% better conversion rate and leads to a 66.67% improvement rate on your spend. You can start to see how just by putting a little bit of effort into your conversion rate, you can really compound your results for your bottom line. So now I'm going to show you a couple. Me and Brock are going to talk through a couple of examples that we've been running or that we've been doing with our work at Vendasta. So this first one, as you can see, is just a landing page for one of our Google Ads campaigns. And you can see that the call to action is just try Vendasta for free. Copy is just one of our value propositions, generate recurring revenue with Vendasta, right? Try Vendasta try for free. And so what I wanted to do is we were getting a decent conversion rate on this, but obviously good isn't good enough. You can always improve, right? So I wanted to create a new test. So what we did is we created just a new landing page. Same, everything's the same. The only difference is use the call to action, see how it works. All the copy is the same, the image is the same. And so what we saw was actually pretty shocking to me. So you see the try Vendasta for free versus see how it works. Our try Vendasta for free got us a conversion rate of 9.1%, generated 40 leads from 500 visitors, equal amount of visitors across each page. And once again, this is just a 5,000 could just be what $420 monthly package for you guys could be if you're selling that. And so from this try Vendasta for free, with the conversion rate of 9.1%, got 45 leads, which came out to just under 30,000 for estimated annual recurring revenue. And then when we launched to see how it works, we actually saw our conversion rate jump by 171%. So we almost got 3x our conversion rate just by changing 4 words. And so what that meant was we got 137 leads from the same amount of visitors compared to 45 leads. Close rate, average close staying the same. We increased our ARR by 50,000, right, to just a little under 90,000. And just by changing four words, right? I didn't believe it before I saw the results. So just want to really emphasize how easy it is to try to reach a little bit higher and get a bit better conversion rate. So now, Brock, do you want to touch on some of the Facebook or some of the organic stuff?
Yeah, sure thing. Thanks, Trent. That was, you almost had me convinced that you knew what you were talking about there. That was great. Thank you for that. So the next thing that we did in the first round test, so we're actually going to be doing about 6 different experiments here surrounding conversion rate optimization. So the next prong was testing some stuff on the homepage. So we want to experiment a little bit with main headlines and stuff like that. But for the first test, what we focused on was just the primary CTA, as you can see in the red box there. Do you want to just go back to that first slide there, Trent? So this was our original homepage format. And the concerns here kind of arose from the fact that the button there is a little bit washed out. So it's kind of like that whitewashed green with a white text overlay. So we had some concerns that maybe prospects were grazing over that, maybe not even seeing what the primary CTA was. So one of the primary things that we wanted to test was driving up the contrast on that button and then trying some different text there. So if you go to the next one, Trent, so this text, so we changed the green there, and then we used the same text that Trent had proven had worked so well on his landing pages. So we want to experiment with that on the homepage and see what results we could drive there. We also added some subtext underneath all of them just to let you know that it's a free sign up and there's no credit card required. So yeah, we tried the see how it works first, and then we also tried to become a reseller. So this language is basically focused around our build use case, which is our most prominent use case. It's kind of where we see the most leads through most of our organic blog work and otherwise. So we want to try a CTA that was really focused around that. And then our last one was a sign up for free. So this was based on some research that UA did. And what she found is that this is pretty much the industry standard for SaaS companies. Like you look at websites like HubSpot, Salesforce, pretty much all of their CTAs are sign up for free. So we figured we should probably give that a go too. So if you want to go to the next slide there, Trent. This is what we found. So to get started for free, our original CTA was actually the second best performer. So we ran each of these through about 3,000 unique visits. And what we found is, yeah, that original CTA was the second best performer. And then Trent's CTA that he found from his landing page experiment actually proved to be the top performer. And the Become a Reseller was slightly less performing, slightly underperformed the original CTA. And interestingly enough, the sign up for free CTA, which is basically an industry standard, was far and away from reaching anywhere near the performance of the others. So that was a really interesting result for us. If you maybe want to flip to the next slide there, Trent. Yeah, so as you can see, it's not as large of gains as you saw on the landing page experiment. But if you consider, like for us, for example, on our homepage, we get a lot of visits and the intent's a lot different, and there's a lot of different buttons, as would be the same with your homepages, right? There's a lot of places that a lead can navigate to off your homepage, right? Exactly, yeah, people get CTA blind, they don't know where to go. So even though it's a 26% conversion rate as compared to 171, it's still very sizable, very substantial in terms of homepage conversion rates. So as you can see, a ton of ARR to be had in something as small as maybe a 26% or a 1.2% overall increase in conversion rate.
Yeah, and that's what we really want to drive home in the first part of this presentation, is that it doesn't take a lot of effort to try to increase and to employ some of these CRO conversion rate optimization tactics. It just you just got to kind of get started, pick one thing to change, and you can see great results come from just a little bit of effort when you focus on improving for conversion rate. Obviously, there's other factors in play, like your website, like website customer experience, and a bunch of other things. But for this conversion rate optimization, we really just focused on changing just one factor, the call to action, and you already see some great results from it. So now we want to give you guys some takeaways for how you can implement conversion rate optimization tactics on your own. So these slides will be shared with you guys. So we want to create this little checklist of what, just a way for you guys to follow along when you're making your own tests. So obviously starting with define the problem, like I mentioned before. It's best to identify your highest trafficked pages on Google Analytics or whatever website analytic metrics you guys run. Obviously, this is probably most likely going to be your homepage. So that's a great place to start with testing some new call to actions or headlines there. And then you can benchmark to identify the least efficient pages throughout your website as well. So maybe take an average across all your website pages and then just find out which ones are underperforming against the average. And then setting your objectives and key results, that's step 2. So set a realistic target for improvement in your conversion rate. I can tell you for a fact I didn't set the goal for our increase to be 171%. Probably was good thinking of 2% increase maybe. So try to set it realistic, and then like to use the SMART framework. So specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, timely for my OKRs for your OKRs. And then hypothesize an improvement. So why do you think you will achieve your objectives? So write down your initial hypothesis and then reflect on it after the experiment, see if you were right or wrong. And then create the variation. So like I said before, test one item at a time, whether it's your headline, primary CTA, and create minor variants. This way you can really hone in on and isolate that one success factor that led to an increase. And then you can just iterate off that, compound it. Run the experiment. So like I said, establish an effective time frame to collect sufficient data. I like to use a rule of thumb for at least 500 to 1,000 sessions. And analyze and measure. So analyze, and then once the test is all concluded, analyze and measure. So analyze data from test variants, identify your winner, implement the changes on your website, and then restart the process or move on to another priority pages. You can either keep trying to implement new changes on your homepage on the first test, or you can move on to your next top priority. So yeah, here's some more just additional tips and tricks. I won't go through all these, but these are some tips that'll help you designing some new variants for your test. So some important ones I kind of like is the value prop for what they're viewing clear. So is it focused around the main outcome that your customers are seeking? So for example, if somebody's coming to you for reputation management, what's the main thing, whether maybe they're clicking on your reputation management blog, maybe they're clicking directly to your reputation management product page. So what's the main outcome they're looking to get? Is it to save time through reputation management? Is it to attract more business through review generation? Whatever it may be. You want to understand your audience and then speak directly to that real main outcome and not give them too many, not bog them down with too many call to actions or information. And then another one I like to do is, are there any distractions on the page from your main goal? So I like to deploy this blur test. And what it is you just squint your eyes like this, and then you look at your landing page and you see what things are popping out. So usually for me, it's obviously your headline. So you squint and you see the first headline. Okay, so you know that that's kind of the first thing they're going to see. And then the next thing that stands out might be that call to action. There should be that call to action. So they're going to land on your page, see that headline, immediately look at the call to action. So you make sure that those are the two most prominent things right on your page. And then we'll send you guys these slides after so you can kind of read through these on your own. But yeah, now I think we're jumping into the activity. Andrew, do you want to explain it here?
Yeah, totally. Thanks guys for that presentation. I love seeing the data. There's a couple of questions in the chat. Maybe we can touch on those quickly, and then we'll get into our activity. We're going to go into breakout rooms. You guys remember those? We're going to go into breakout rooms, and then we can have a chat with everybody and see what everybody comes up with. So I'll talk about the activity in a second. There's a few questions where I think Stephen Arthur asked, yeah, here it is. Did you change where they went? So did you, not just the call to action, not just those words, but did you change where they went afterwards?
Oh, both of our call to actions went to the same, just self sign up page for both of them.
Nice. So kept everything constant. I saw Ken ask, do you make one change at a time? I think that's pretty important for actually measuring the success of the experiment. If you're changing too much, how do you know which thing that you changed worked, right?
Absolutely. And then once you've isolated that one key success factor, then you implement that in maybe all your pages and then try to find that next success factor.
Yeah.
Just another note there too, with respect to Kathy's question around actual signed up partners versus just clicks. So this was actually for the homepage, at least, it was just clicks. So another thing that we're going to have to do is we're going to have to dig back into that data and see how many of those clicks actually converted on the form fill, because something like see how it works doesn't exactly drive the same intent as sign up for free. So there's a little bit of a curve there. So we're going to have to dig into that data and see if a lot of those clicks are still converting into free partners. And then it would be interesting to see too how many of those free partners convert into paying partners too. So there's a lot more data to be collected yet, but this is just the beginning.
Nice. And I think that covers Robert Davis's question as well. Are you counting conversions as simply clicking the button or actually filling out the completed form? Kathy had another question. How did you determine platform? LinkedIn, Facebook, etc. Does that question make sense? Kathy, did you want to add to that?
Well, I was actually wondering where I've seen it on LinkedIn, or I've seen it, I don't even remember if I saw it on Facebook or not. But did you do any more like geofence? How did you come about with what you were doing and how you were doing it, if it was on Indeed LinkedIn?
Oh, right. So that so for those landing page tests that I was running, those were all Google Ads channels, and so that test was for our Vendasta branded Google Ads campaign. So it was people just searching for Vendasta and then coming through there.
So they were actually, okay, got it. Thank you.
Right.
Nice. And I like Stephen Arthur's comment. Money's in the follow through. Totally. And I wanted to add some comments as well for some things that I'm always thinking about. Trent, if you wouldn't mind going back a slide to those additional tips and tricks. Yeah, perfect. I like how you pointed out that one at the bottom on the left is the value prop for what they are viewing clear, and really thinking about things from their perspective. Sometimes we get stuck in, the technical language and the way that we call things, snapshot report. Do you call it a snapshot report? Does that mean anything to a business owner? Or, should you be calling it something different? Or, so also where the leads might be in their journey. I sort of have this feeling, that maybe that see how it works is a little less of a commitment than signing up for free. So maybe it's just kind of removing some of that and saying, yeah, I'll see how it works. Then maybe I'll sign up. And also that little text that you had, no credit card required. Well, that's even better. So think about where they're at in their journey, and then what are your next steps? What do you want them to see next? And I mean, we're getting into a more complex process, but thinking about what's going to resonate with those leads at that time, because the goal really isn't to have somebody click on that button and then you sell a big $5,000 package. At the end of the day, that's what you want to happen, but you really just want to sell that click and get them on to the next step. And then the next step, you want to get them to take that next action. So having many of these in place can really help. I like that blur test too. I don't know if I didn't see anybody else doing that, but that's a cool test. All right, without me talking so much, let's go to the activity. Yeah, so what we wanted to do, because we really want to binge do. We don't just want to binge watch and binge talk and binge listen. Let's binge do. Something that I really like that Dennis, you said during his workshops. But what we were thinking is, let's break out into some breakout rooms for, let's say, 7 minutes, and then let's regroup as a group, and then let's talk about how what's worked for you, and how you might set up a headline, and what call to action you might use or you're using right now that has been successful for you. And we thought that we would frame it up in these two ways. So one, sell us the local business online toolkit. What headline would you use? What copy would you use? And what would be the call to action be? Just a simple exercise. And then two, if we can get that far, sell us on the snapshot report. What would you call it? What would your CTA be that you think would get the highest optimization? And then let's regroup, and then let's talk about it. So I'm going to set the breakout rooms here, and then everyone should automatically go into it. Let's see. Right on. Okay, I'm opening all rooms, so everybody should automatically go there. Let's have some fun. Time moves differently in breakout rooms. So
yeah. A different dimension.
Yeah.
I'm really glad that you didn't get a stapler on the back of the head there.
Stephen was telling Jeremy how close we worked to. We just worked out of the way here. Stephen was trying to encourage him to throw a stapler at me. I don't know how I feel about that, Stephen.
That's Scottish humor.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's showing affection in Scotland.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, I appreciate it then.
We Scots are aggressive.
Hey, so let's hear it. I mean, without everybody speaking all at once, maybe put into the chat what your headline was, what your call to action was for the local business online toolkit and for the snapshot report. I'm really, really interested to hear what people came up with. And if somebody wants to kick things off and maybe unmute while everybody is putting in their headline and call to action in the chat, would love to hear from somebody.
It was good to see a lot of us are using the same strategies that you guys have taught us, you know, in implementing, you know, these packages and services, you know, back about a year ago.
That's awesome. Hey, Joshua, it's great to see you.
I'm back.
You're back. Nice. Hey, so what did your group call it, or what do you call it? What does your group call it, and what would your call to action be?
You know, again, we're kind of a little different, so it depends on the client that I'm talking to. You know, most of the agent or clients that we deal with are, you know, more top tier clients, so they kind of already know what we're talking about when we, you know, start talking to them about this stuff. So kind of what we call it doesn't necessarily matter as much as about what it is that we're providing. But I would say with some of the smaller agencies and stuff like that, or smaller clients, it's for us, I call it an accountability tool, because again, a lot of times when I'm dealing with the clients I deal with, I might be going into a place where, you know, they already have their own in-house marketing team, or their uncle's doing it for them, or their wife or cousin or dad or whatever, you know, is running their marketing, you know, for their team. So with that being said, I just let them know, I said, look, these are accountability tools. You know, the software here is not designed for me to take anybody's job. It's a way for me to go in here and offer a do-it-yourself solution. So you can, you know, your team can utilize my software to improve your social efforts and your online efforts. Or we actually have a team of experts that, you know, they're not website developers and SEO guys and this guy, you know, they're not wearing multiple hats. We have, you know, teams that are specialized in these areas so we can improve, you know, this online ranking, you know, or this online reputation that you have.
I like that. Any comments on the call to action that you've seen work well, or that you would use, Josh?
Really, it's just the confidence. I mean, I would say spending time on the platform, really understanding the vernacular of what you're talking about, and being able to, going back to the pain points, the fear of losses, and just they're going to tell you what you want. And what I have found, the more money the clients spend with you, the more information they give you.
Yeah.
You know, the guys that don't really spend a whole lot, they're not really as engaged. People that are spending, you know, hefty budgets with you are the ones that are on the phone with you saying, hey, you know, try this, take a look at that. I'm interested in this. You know, so they're giving you everything you need to make them happy. The results are going to be what they are. If they have a viable, successful business, then if you do a good job, and that law of averages says it's going to work out that way. But generally, you just give them what they ask for.
Hey, Josh. Listen, you and I were in the same group, and I don't know why you're hiding behind the blank screen there. But anybody that's ever talked to Josh, he's got the best background ever. All right.
Sorry about that. My grandson was down here eating breakfast with my daughter.
All right. So look at that big aquarium behind him. He's got the Atlanta Falcons. He's got the Georgia Bulldogs helmet there. It's awesome.
Hey man, I'm a loyalist to my dogs and my Falcons, man. It is what it is.
The one thing that we were talking in our group, and I'll let someone else speak. One thing that I do on my site is that for the online local business toolkit, I call it the foundational 4. And the subtext I use digital marketing cornerstones designed to answer the questions that keep you up at night. My call to action, though, is really weak. It's get started today, schedule a consultation. So this call today was really good for me to kind of focus on those call to actions. But I don't really call it the online business toolkit. I like to call it the foundational 4. And those questions go into the marketing stack, which is, do they know you? Do they like you? Do they trust you? Will they convert? So those are the questions that every business owner asks themselves continuously, whether they realize it or not. So that's what we talked about.
Nice. Thanks for the comments, Robert. I'm happy to hear that this session will help you get running some experiments with different call to actions.
Absolutely.
Anybody else have some feedback from chatting with their group? I see a lot of great comments. I kind of want to pick some of them out, but if anybody's open to unmuting and chat with the group here, let's go a little bit over time.
Nobody's going to say nothing, so I'm going to speak up and say something. One thing I've noticed that in the chat section, a lot of people use the word audit. To me personally, I don't like any negative words, especially when I'm trying to, build a relationship with somebody that I don't know and I probably haven't, had the opportunity to meet face to face. Always stay away from the negative words. Report cards, audits, you're wanting to come in as like the person with positivity, like, hey, I'm an expert at what I do. And, this is, not a judgment on your business and me telling you that, this is the way, to out of this, so that would be my only thing. I just noticed in the comments, a lot of people that kind of need to use some of that, that kind of energy, I guess, so to speak, about explaining, because these reports are not something that should come as a negative, regardless if it's good or bad. It should come as, if it's positive, then great, you're doing a good job. But if it's negative, then hey, we got a lot of room for improvement. And what's great is you're dealing with a huge company that buys in bulk and outbeat anybody's price and do a great job. So just it's all about how you talk to them.
It's good observation.
Go
ahead, Kathy.
I'll add that I call it the business needs. Actually, I call it on the website. It's a business diagnostic report. But I do say, let's learn what you're really good at. Let's learn where the challenges are, and let's learn where you might have a big fail. I put that last because I really want to support the fact that not everybody does something wrong all the time. So I'm starting with the positive, and maybe to Josh's point, I could drop that part, but I also want to let them know that there are going to be things we're going to uncover that can be rectified. It's not impossible.
Yeah.
I'm going to jump on the coattails of that 100% agree with Joshua and Kathy. We never say things are terrible. It looks really bad. We always say there's a lot of great room for opportunity. And we are really excited to be able to help you move this forward.
Yeah, I really like that. You can kind of get into, I want to stop talking. Sean, I can see that you unmuted. Do you have some comments?
Actually, I want to ask the group a question. How many are using it as a free lead magnet versus using it as an actual product to sell?
I charge.
Well, Andrew, I'm not going to go into history, but I charge for the snapshot report, as do some of the other agencies on the call. But what I do, I kind of evolved on that. I have two ways in which you can get the snapshot report. From the website, you can fill out a form. We'll create the snapshot report for you. I charge $1.99 for just the snapshot report. But then there's a snapshot report with a 1-hour consultation along with it to help create a narrative around the data. And that I charge $3.49 for. So there's two ways in which someone can get the snapshot report from me. One is just they can take it, review it themselves, take it to their existing agency as an audit to let them see if what they're paying for they're actually getting value out of. But then also we can come in and do kind of the value added piece where we'll actually go through each section, identify some things beyond the snapshot report, and give some actionable steps to take it to the next step.
Hey, Robert, let me ask you a question though. Would you recommend that for guys that are just now starting up though, that aren't on our expert level? I mean, you and I've been with Vendasta for years. So, I mean, that kind of goes two different ways. I think it really depends on where you're at in your journey as far as your business. If you're starting out, you need to get people on the phone and sell yourself because that's what they're buying. Now, if you have clients already, and you're not necessarily looking to scale, then absolutely charge for your time. I charge for my time. I don't really, do that. But there was a point, and there is, when we have people come to us and they are just now starting out with our agency, we want them to be able to go out and give stuff away for free and not necessarily have a monetary value attached to it, so they can grow, their network and really learn on people. That's what I try to tell people. Don't be scared to learn. At the end of the day, I'd rather you learn on a client, that's not going to be spending a lot of money with you than you blow it with a client that was going to spend $5,000 a month with you because you didn't practice what you're preaching. So that's the biggest thing, is I think it falls in two different categories. I think Robert and I are in the category where we definitely charge. We're at a point where we charge for our snapshot and our expertise and our time. But there's definitely room there to offer some of that stuff for people to give a shot at. But I will tell you this, if you get to a point where you want to give away the express products, this is in my opinion, as Robert and I was talking about in our session, I usually only do that if I know that they're not going to spend any money and they're not going to do any business. And I don't want to just say, hey, there's nothing I can do for you. Have a great day. So I give them the express as like a shaking your hand and, maybe I'll talk to you later. But at the same time, if you believe in your client and you feel like they're going to sign a 30 or a 90-day contract, no matter what, it costs money to gain a client. So if you have to activate $60 worth of services so they can get 100% of the experience of the tool, then that's on you as a business owner to make the investments, regardless if it's in a Google ad or a hot lead that you have on the phone. If they get on there and they're scheduling their social media posts, they're doing their reputation management, they're updating everything, and they're actually using it, then that shows you that that's probably somebody you can grow with. But if you give that same person the beta version, then they're not getting 100% of the experience. So that's just kind of the way I've been able to utilize it for me to make it work, and for us.
I like that. Thank you. Kathy, you were going to say something.
Oh, attorney, I wasn't sure if you meant me or White. Yeah, I do charge for it because I think it's also, I get the ability as a perceived value. Free doesn't have a lot of value anymore. So I have it for $3.99, and I'll basically say, depending on how they came to me, if it was a referral, I'll say, listen, you're going to get the friends and family discount, and I'll discount it down. But I don't talk to anybody about the snapshot report until I do the 5-point Janice Christopher checklist. And I've already validated that, all right, you have problems, and I put it in a nice way. But if you want to, I finished doing my little 15-minute, and then my stock question is, has everything I said to you today resonated? Now, unless they're Helen Keller, they're going to say yes. And then I say, okay, well, the next step is we do the business needs assessment. This is what you do. I can either send you an invoice, you can go to my website. Usually I just want to be more proactive and I'll send the invoice. I tell them it takes 2 weeks. It's a third party. It's Google Analytics. Let's just move forward. We'll come back and we'll do a discovery. We'll do the personas and we'll get you going to be where you want to be in the digital platform. So that's kind of how I do it. And I have the steps to kind of validate where the hell I'm going. That's it.
I like that question. Has this resonated with you?
Hey, just real quickly, Andrew, I'm curious, does anyone use the listing scan? I know they took it away, took it off the platform, but you can still access it through the Yext product card. I use that as my loss leader. It's there's a call to action on the homepage, or actually on every page of the website, where they can run a free listing scan. That's kind of like a first.
Where is that? I haven't seen that, Robert.
Yeah, when if you go into manage, I'll do it right now. It's in Partner Center. If you go into either manage products or if you go into discover products, you pull up the Yext product page. And then from there, you'll see, you type in Yext, you choose one, whether you do monthly or annually. Right there, you'll see Yext dashboard. And when you click on Yext dashboard, it'll actually take you to Yext's dedicated dashboard, but for us as Vendasta partners. And in there, you can create, if you go into the branding section, you can actually create a branded page where someone can come, put in their information for a listing scan. They put in their email address, and that contact or that lead will come to your inbox wherever you have it directed to.
Great.
So yeah, if you go to, I'll put it on my
I'll definitely look into that, man. Thanks for letting me know that. I didn't know that we had that ability.
Yeah, that's good. Good share, Robert. And I think I was chatting with Felipe. I know he's on the line. I could tell he's probably furiously taking notes, but we're looking at some things that we can do on our side. Maybe we can talk about that next week, Felipe, or we can talk a little bit about some things that we're looking at to support that, still have some sort of resource to start that conversation so you can move on to the next step. Important to have all those resources built up.
Yes, sure. Let's schedule some time for the next session if you want to.
Yeah, sounds good. Well, hey, what a session. Wow. Thank you everybody for your engagement. Thank you, Trent. Thank you, Brock, for putting together such a great presentation. Awesome. I'm really happy to hear that what we talked about today is going to help some folks on the call here start experimenting, even just the little things, and then measuring and seeing how it's making an impact. And I think something that's also important to note is that, like Trent said, this is ongoing. It's not just that you run one experiment, but it's a compounding benefit. So as you run one experiment, measure it, see how it works, and then try changing one other thing and seeing how that works. Do some A/B testing, make a couple of different changes in different places, see how they work, and then take the best parts of both of them, and then see if you can make something incredible that way. So thank you very much to everybody. Thank you to our presenters. Thank you for going overtime, and thank you as always for supporting your local businesses and joining us in the Conquer Local weekly community sessions. So I'll see everybody next week, and I hope you have a fun and healthy and happy weekend. We'll see you in the community.